So listen to this. You see me here on the 31st of October unpacking my little birthday present that I gave to myself, the Leica D-Lux 8, a micro four thirds fixed zoom lens camera, which has a zoom range of 24 to 70 with a nice aperture. And it's also for me, it was also the successor of my Lumix LX100, which I used many moons ago, and it taught me a lot about photography. So I thought, this is nice. It's a small camera, portable, easy to shoot, nice little focal length, micro four thirds, not 1 inch. This is going to be a success. And what I really liked about it, you know, you have the Leica Photos apps. It's one of the better ones out there. So it's easy to transfer your photos and it actually works perfect. You don't get the actual profiles that is for the expensive cameras, but hey, maybe Leica will release it, right? The colors are fine. The autofocus is working pretty okay, to be very honest. Feels nice in the hands, fits in the pocket. Menu systems, as usual with Leica, are fantastic, easy, simple, anybody can do it. So what is there to complain? Well, in the beginning, when I actually opened it, as you can see it, not much. But once I started getting into the system and really using it, I started noticing a few things. A few, but very much important things. The first thing I noticed, obviously, in the design is that there's not a on and off switch. It's really a button. And the startup time is between 3 and 4 seconds. Which itself is not that bad, but I'm not the kind of guy who continuously keeps his camera switched on. I'm not. I turn it off, I turn it on, I turn it off, I turn it on. I do this with every camera. That is not very handy. The second thing that I really noticed was the buffering time of the camera to be quite long actually. I was like, okay, if you want to go burst mode, I think your buffer is pretty quickly filled up. Then there is the lens itself, and it's predominantly the zoom motors. They are very slow, and I mean slow. And the fact is that sometimes I just like to dial in a zoom, yeah, let's say a 35mm or a 60mm. Once I switch it off, I can't really save it in the 3 user profiles you have, which is kind of a shame, because it would be nice if you start up and let's say have dialed in on 60mm, you can immediately shoot on 60mm, but you can't. The fourth thing that I've really noticed, and let me know in the comments below if you're a D-Lux 8 shooter, is the fact that the white balance seems to be inconsistent. At times there's a red U over it, and I don't know what that exactly is. The image quality itself, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just at times the white balance seems to be off. Let me know in the comments below if you have similar things or I have a dodgy copy. Could well be. So no biggie there, you dial it into your Kelvins, whether it's 4300 or 5500, you just dial it in so you have a consistent way of managing your white balance. The great thing is that any profile you have, you can pretty much tweak and turn the way you want to. It's very basic, it's not as expensive as most of the Lumix, but it's still good enough. But the fact is that you have the Leica photo apps seamlessly transfers everything in, which is great. But we don't have the profiles that you have on the M11 and the Q3s. And that's something I find really strange. So you can't have kind of LUTs over it or something. I don't know what that is. For video, not important to me. But if you're looking for video, yeah, you don't have an audio jack, for instance. There's only 1 card slot. But then I had something which really ruined my entire shooting experience. And that is the fact that once I switched off my camera, the lens just kept extending outwards. And I saw this little bug on the end. You know, little time processing, and that sometimes takes up to 5 to 10 seconds before your lens retracts in, which I find not only annoying but hard to swallow from a technology point of view. But it's inconsistent, and I don't know what it does, but it happened to me I think at least 50 to 60 times, and that was one thing where I was like, huh? And then last week I had 3 or 4 times that I was walking around with the camera on and it goes into sleep. You push it back on again, doesn't work, so you switch the camera off, pushing the button in, and then it still doesn't start up. So I had to kind of get out the battery, put it back in, and it would work again. And that triggered something in me. I've never experienced it with any other of the many camera systems I've shot on. And point number 2 is, it seems to be that the Leica M11, some of them have the same issue, and the Leica Q3 series have the same issue. And I'm thinking, this is not acceptable. This just ruins my entire photography thing. First of all, the startup times with shutting your camera off, the fact that I have to pull batteries out to just start it up again, it just doesn't make any sense. And the fact that Leica still hasn't produced any kind of firmware upgrade to mitigate some of the issues that it has. It has brought out a firmware upgrade, but that's more for open source coding and whatever it is. Personally, If I look at the price tag, 1,590 euros here in Europe, so in Australia it's even more expensive. If you start benchmarking what you can get for that kind of money, and I'm not talking about fixed lens cameras, yeah, I mean, you can get an S9, you can get a Fuji X-T5, you can get the latest of the greatest, you can get an older Sony A7 III or an A7C for 500 bucks less. I really find it disappointing. I've submitted it back today, and you know, I just don't understand how Leica can bring something like this onto the market.